How's it going, everyone? Welcome, Lear Gonzalez again. So, in today's video, I'm going to take notes about this essential or the Typescript Pro Essentials. So this is a course taught by Matt. I don't know his last name. Let me actually figure it out. Digga. Where it is, Matt? Where are you, Matt? Oh my God, what is Matt? There you go. Guys, come on, really? There you go. Jesus. So the instructor uh, is Matt. Let me double check that. Here, Matt what? Total Typescript, but it's the... Oh my God, where are you, bro? Jesus. There you got it. There you got it. Matt Pocock. Pocock. Anyway, so yeah, so the instructor is Matt Pocock. Well, anyway. And no, this time estimating is I don't know, maybe 2 months, monthly, right? For the next 2 months or for the next 3 months, because up to February. All right, and the start date was no, the start date was yesterday. That's right. So the goal is to understand TypeScript about how we get here as an industry. All right. And here is all of these different topics that are relevant to know. And yesterday we were looking at the origins of TypeScript. So the relationship of TypeScript and JavaScript, which is we need to understand what is JavaScript and what is the role of JavaScript and how JavaScript kicks in as a language, as a lightweight alternative of Java. So you can create in these small, rapid prototyping programs in this dynamic language that was a promise, okay? And because now most of this top tech company, and one of them is Microsoft, they hire a huge amount of people to actually work across their own products. One of them is that on the web, since they're using now JavaScript and due to the dynamic nature of the language, it make it easy for building rapid prototype. But when it comes to now build scale or large code bases on that, when a lot of people need to cooperate, it is very, very messy, right? And also it is prone to error. So small team in Microsoft, when they have heavily experience on a language called C#, which is a strongly typed static language, aka the language is compiled, not interpreted, right? So JavaScript is an interpreted language. That's why we say a scripted language. So allegedly, the language evaluate is one line after another. And I say allegedly because this is not how truly JavaScript 2025 behavior works. Why is that? Because when you evaluate three behaviors in the language, it doesn't match our intuitions like in an interpreted fashion. So, for example, when it analyzes syntax error or some early errors or hosting, all right? So because of that, all right, and since now Microsoft and this specific team has strong background on C#, right? They create now this small language called script share, okay, that allows them to now is create JavaScript applications by using is a subset of them. So they create is a subset of JavaScript that allows them to then is detect errors at build time, not at runtime, which is a huge improvement. Provide intelligence and do a easily refactoring of your code, right? So yes, unlike JavaScript, when you only write a file and this file is run in a particular environment, usually the browser or the server, or you can also run your code in any other environments, right? Light bulbs, robots, but at least right now in these two environments, okay? So now with TypeScript, okay, the things are a little bit more convoluted. Why is that? Well, because now we are writing code in this subset of or superset of JavaScript in on our IDE or integrated development environment, and now a server sits in between to provide us immediate feedback, to provide immediate, to give us immediate feedback. So with this, which is known as the TypeScript language server, so it's detecting if there is an error in your files, and then now provide you hints on how to solve this. This is something that I wasn't quite well aware. I am a conventional user of TypeScript. I know only the surface, but I do want is to master this. Why is that? If you want to become a competent JavaScript developer or TypeScript developer or a competent web developer, all right, somebody to the right people, the right person to go with, right? Well, you need to understand is how your tools work, and that is JavaScript and TypeScript. So far so good, because here with this huge overview of why TypeScript emerged, and it emerged from this particular project at April 12, 2011. But again, the main goal of this is for extend the functionality of JavaScript for enterprise applications. So this is why we look now here on React applications and Next applications, and also is the next step in the evolution, in the industry evolution, right? So again, some folks, including Matt Pocock, he mentioned that that he dislikes JavaScript because it feels like working in the Middle Age and so on and so forth. Great, but I do think that dislike it or not, or liking things is irrelevant, especially in the industry, especially if you're working with a tool, right? So this is what your tool is doing. This is what its capability, what it offers, and that's it. And that's it. And if you don't like it, then do something about it. Deal with it. Here we also explore as the JavaScript versus build process. A very simple but yet convoluted TypeScript build process. So as I mentioned before, you now write code in these JavaScript files, and that is going to be immediately executed by browsers and servers, particularly Node.js servers or any other JavaScript environment. Okay, and here with TypeScript, as I mentioned, so you now write code in these TypeScript files that are watched by a server that sits between your file and the feedback that it provides to you, aka your IDE, okay, to give you some hints of what went wrong or what are the possible errors that might happen in your code. So, for example, is hey, what is the shape of the data? If this data, so I actually took note of this question here. So what is the shape of this data what is the shape of this data that this function is receiving or returning? And when I call a function, will it properly works? So it won't throw any unexpected error. And how can I do a refactoring without breaking my application? These three questions to me is the core of why TypeScript. These three questions are the core of why we have TypeScript in our code bases. Okay, so hey, can we know is the shape of the data? We have now this annotation here. When we pass down into a function or when we're returning it. And when I call these functions, it will work as expected. It won't throw any errors. All right. So if it does, do that at build time or at run time, and make it easy for me to refactor my code base, which is something that a lot of the time you're going to do. Make no mistake about it. This is what you are also getting paid for. So now this is it, right? So the TypeScript build process is that, as I mentioned before, you write now TypeScript code. You have now a TypeScript IDE server that sits between your files and you to provide you feedback by analyzing those files. And once that is done, then you're going to generate the specific JavaScript file by using the compiler or the TypeScript CLI that actually now is ready to be shipped and run on all of these different environments, the browser, the node, or any other JavaScript environments. So yes, again, this is the essential tool for TypeScript development right now. The tools needed is this. So we have VS Code, our ID, and the node, because we also use another environment to run our code. And it mentioned here the execution environments. It's a node in the web browser. You can also include other ones, but for this course, we're only gonna work with this, right? So the server and the browser. So yesterday we were setting up Node and VS Code. Is essentially go on and install them, and some package manager called PMP. ThoughtWork, a Chicago-based an IT Chicago-based company, they have on their website something called the Thought Tech Radar. Sorry, where in there is describing the language and frameworks, the practice or techniques. Let me actually, because I do think that is to me is that. So is describing the techniques, the tools, the technique, the tools, the language and frameworks, and the platforms. Makes a lot of sense. RM in the cloud. RM and compute instances in the cloud have become increasingly popular in recent years for their cost and energy efficient compared to traditional x86 based instances. Major cloud providers, including AWS, something that I also I am taking a course to be a certified developer advocate. A.K.A. is to understand at least most of those AWS servers, at least 30 of them, right? uh, Azure and GCP now offer robust ARM RAM options. These instances are especially attractive for large-scale or cost-sensitive workloads. Many of our team have successfully migrated workloads such as microservice, open source databases, and even high-performance computing to RAM with minimal code change and only minor build script adjustment. New cloud-based application and system increasingly defaults to RM in the cloud. Interesting. Based on our experience, we recommend RM compute instance for most workload unless specific architectural dependencies exist. More tooling such as multi-arc Docker image further simplify building and deploying across both RM and x86. Ah, holy hell. Multi-arc build an image the simple way. So you're using now is an arc, a multi-arc build an image. Build once, deploy everywhere, anywhere. It's really nice on the paper, but if you want to use RM target to reduce your build, such as Raspberry and A1 instance, or even keep using your old i30A6 servers, deploying everywhere can become a tricky problem, as you need to build your software for this platform. To fix this problem, Docker introduced the principle of multi-arc builds, and we'll see how to use it in production. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's in. This is something to take a look at that. Um, this is from here. I would like to download this. Can I download this? May I download this? What if I want to download this? Right? What if I want to download this? Download this in English. Oh, holy hell. Question. If I do this, okay. Oh, because they have, okay. All right. Okay. And all the people involved here. That makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, this is not interactive. Yeah, this is not interactive. But you can look at this by its number. Question: can I access to the old one? It's a twice yearly snapshot of tools, technique, platforms, and language. Okay, but in any case, here you can look at that. Continuous compliance, curated ARM in the cloud, the Touch Radar, ClickHouse, Nemo, Guardrail, PMP, Pedantic, Fastify, LangGraph, and BLM. And then you got it, right? So again, this course is not based on the work of or reviewing the technology radar, but what I do think is that what Matt Pocock mentioned is that if we're using now PMP, so all of this is because Matt Pocock mentioned is we're gonna go with PMP. Why is this? Well, because now it has all the dependencies. You can think of this like a table in one place, and what you're gonna do is just to get some reference in any time that you need to install a specific package versions in Node, right? So instead of having this particular directory every time on different projects, all right? And even though if you have package with the same version of your the same versions across different repos, it makes much more sense to have all of them in one single location, and then now hard link those and make and use them in your respective projects. This is the reason why. This is why PNPN is now has been adopted, okay, in development by the technology radar here from ThoughtWorks. That's very interesting. That's definitely very interesting. ClickHouse, distributed column online analytic processing database for real-time analytics. ClickHouse. Okay. The addition of S3 engine 3. Okay. All right. Makes a lot of sense. Totally makes ton of sense. Right. So in any case, so yeah, that's the reason why I actually pick up this, and there you got it. All right, good. All right, let me actually write it down. So the reason, and let me hear what he mentioned about. So what is the word he's using? What is the storytelling?
The final thing we're going to install is PNPN. Now this is not necessarily
the copywriting, the copy
needed for all TypeScript repositories, but it is needed for this one, for my one here. Now, what this is an alternative to something called NPN. So NPN, basically in every sort of JavaScript repository you will have run across this before, there is probably going to be a package.json. This represents essentially all of the packages that we need to install in order to run this code. So inside here, I have a special CLI for the total TypeScript repo, some helpers as well, some various things like crossfetch and nodemon, blah, 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 and lots of things that I've decided should be in here. There's also a bunch of scripts inside here as well, like each individual ones for running each individual exercise, and also a bunch of other dependencies too. So what I can do here is I can run npm install, which is a CLI. So I could say, I'm not going to run this, but I could say npm install, and this would get all of these packages and basically put them into node modules here. And node modules, as you can see, is a big old folder with a bunch of different stuff in there. And all of these node modules are then used because they all contain things like actual TypeScript in there. So here we go, some TypeScript, some JavaScript in there. And those then get used by my actual source code, which lives inside SRC. Now this is perfectly fine. We could use npm for this, but I've decided to use PNPM instead. PNPM is an alternative that basically runs a little bit faster, and also means that you end up with less disk space actually used on your setup. Because if you think about it, with npm, you would actually end up with lots of duplicated stuff in your node modules if you had lots of repositories on your computer with basically the same content. Let's say they all install the same version of TanStack React Query. Well, that's a lot of duplicated code. What PNPM does is it actually hard links it up to a root in your system, so there's only one copy on your system.
He mentioned it's hard links up.
It actually hard links it up to
hard links things up. Hard link is a directory entry that directly references the same underlying data I know as another file, creating multiple names for the same file content without duplicating on data disk. Hard linking up. So hard linking up is that. Like this. Hard linking up. So you have now this directory with all of these files, and it's going to now, if you want to make use of that, it's going to create now a link, a reference that can be shared across different other projects in your application, across different projects. So it saves you space. It saves you disk space, which is good.
a root in your system, so there's only one copy on your system, and then it automatically sort of fills in all the node modules from that one copy. This means it runs faster, and it means it's kinder on your disk space. And so because a lot of these exercises have very similar contents in terms of node modules, I've chosen to use PNPN, even though it's a little bit more set up for you.
Okay. So PNPN, like this, So PNPN is an alternative package manager of NPM, where the idea is to have a single source of truth, so aka a directory, okay, a directory, exactly, aka it's a single source of truth, right? Hard linking or hard link things up into one location. So if a package is used in several projects on your machine, you can use a reference. So you can use a reference out of it, right? So making things, so of course, so saving this space, which you will definitely want to do that. So let's go to this, right? Fast disk space efficient package manager. Right. Oh, but this is
I have a confession to make.
2 years ago. Oh, okay. It was 2 years ago. And yeah, they have become now content creators and things like that, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay. Exactly. So it's now content creators, as it is. They become this content creator. Yep, they become this content creator. Okay. Holy moly. All right. Okay.
I have a confession to make. Up until the beginning of this year, I was still using it.
Yeah. So this is the partners. Vercel is using that. Workleap, so on and so forth. Uscreen, Stacklist, DevOUL, OOML. There you go. So yeah, PNPN is up to 2 times faster. I don't know why they have this in Spanish and then this content here in English. Some of them are in English, some of them are in Spanish. And 67% makes sense. Okay. Files inside node models are cloned or hard linked from a single content addressable as storage. AKA, you have one single table where you have all of this package store, the content that live here. And what you're gonna do is now have hard links or reference from this package across your different projects that you that package use. Support for mono repos, and this is strict. All right, good. So pretty much is this. In fact, let me actually install that, right? And you could do in Windows. I am right now in a Docker container using core pack due to an issue with outdated signature in core pack. What about homebrew? Using other package manager. I would like to go with homebrew. Okay. So let's get into this. Homebrew. Downloading is okay. It's updating other versions, and alright. Is downloading pnpm, and now that is done. It say, hey, bring cleanup has not been run in the last 30 days. Running right now. So okay, so removing some old temporal files, and here we are. So if we say pnpm version, we should have is the 10.13.1, and if I check the node version, I have the 20. All right. Okay. Good. So yeah, let's get into this. Install the total Typescript. Installing the total Typescript VS Code. So installing the total Typescript. Installing the total Typescript. Oh, VS Code extension. Installing the total Typescript VS Code extension, right?
Before we continue, I recommend that you install the Total Typescript VS Code extension too. What this does is it helps give you some really helpful hints on various syntax, and also gives you error translation too. So if you go inside the marketplace, you can see we have Total Typescript inside there, and I have it installed, but you can just install it by pressing the blue button when you find it. Now, what this means is that if I look at some code here, and I see that you might not understand this code so far, but if I hover over this red squiggly line, you can see that there's a num is declared, but its
okay, num is declared, but its value is never read.
Value is never read, and also type string is not assignable to type number. What we have here is in this translation thing, which the extension adds, is it basically says, I was expecting a type matching number, but instead you passed string.
Oh, okay, it's part of the translation.
And so this translation basically gives you just another perspective on the TypeScript error, maybe putting it in language that you can kind of more easily understand. And the Total Typescript extension is really just an extra companion to help you learn TypeScript, help you get scaffolded off the ground, and to basically give you something that you can reference in this book and make sure that you're on the right track. So I recommend installing the Total TypeScript.
Okay, it is a translation. So it is a translation of TypeScript errors, something like that. TypeScript errors and TypeScript errors and suggestions. Errors and suggestions. Right? There you got it.
Extension before you continue.
Okay, so let's get into this. I'm about to use this. Jesus, come on. Yeah, I'm about to use this VS Code for this. Yeah, I don't want any VS Code. I don't have that. I don't believe you. I don't have VS Code? Bullshit. You got it. Alright. me also clone the repo here. Tiki is this one. All right. And this is the final release. Agent HQ, agent seasons view as your mission control for agent tasks. OpenAI Codex integration, built-in planning agent, custom agents and hands-off, inline terminal panels in chat, security and trust, open sourcing inline, tool pre and post approval, expand MCP auth support, control MCP server access with custom MCP registry, Linux device policy support, great coding experience, copy text from deleted line in diff editors, VS Code product icon refresh, terminal entering sense GA, compare source control branch and tags. Okay. You can use now cloud agents here. To connect to that, GitHub Copilot, go editing, right? Editor experience. Assigning insensitive command filtering. Okay, good. I'm not here for this. This is the project Worldly. Yes, I would like to update my shell here, and since I am right now here, holy fuck, really? Now it autocomplete is okay, but I do think this is the internal. Yes, this is the internal. Yeah, this is the ID. Well, right now you can see that, but I'm about to set up, so install the repo right now. That was quite interesting. Let me actually make there the that was powerful, by the way. Yes. I love it. Make there I just coming of course I can say is Matt Pocock courses, right? Say Matt Pocock courses, and here you say make there of Typescript Pro Essentials. Alright, so I can get in here, Typescript Pro Essentials, and actually clone the repo. We are here now. It doesn't allow me to navigate through. This is quite silly. It doesn't allow me to navigate. Anyway, take it, copy it. There you got it. Here we are. Take Git clone. I already have Git. Which version of Git do I have? Okay, Git clone. Right. And there you got it. Okay. So Pro Essentials Workshop, and then you say code, open up here, with code, and voila, right? Yes, I trust the author, and then go here and say, no, I don't want to save it. Stay you there. I shouldn't close that anyway. And that's it. Let me actually install here On the extension here, and say Typescript Pro Essentials. Typescript Pro Essentials. What is the name of that? Total Typescript. So total Typescript. There you got it. Total Typescript Matt Pocock. I can install this. Learn Typescript in VS Code with Typescript error translator and syntax guide. Matt Pocock is not verified. Publisher Matt Pocock. So if you take a look at this, it say Matt Pocock is not verified. What you can look at that is there. Okay, Oxford, England. Xversal used to be a voice coach. Okay. Okay. All right. This density of wizardry should be physically impossible. I thought there were thermodynamic laws preventing this. $400 Typescript errors and motion changed it. Stack AI Alpha is here. Framework agnostic, provide agnostic and type safe. Isomorphic tools, DevTools, Open Protocol, JavaScript, Python, and PHP. React Solid and Vanilla, OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, Olama, and ++. High quality open source software for web developers. They're using heavily Stack for that.
So if you thought...
Okay. All right. Yeah, good. Okay. That was a couple of years. Oh my God. 5 years. No, 6 years. 6 years ago. Okay. That's interesting. And now he is describing
I
this.
thought this would make a really, really nice interactive demo. So with V0, I put this together really quickly, and it showcases some of the really nice new methods that have been added to set. We've got two sets that we're paying attention to here. This set here with the current roles that the user has of viewer and editor, and then the new roles, what the user is now selecting. So they've got editor, admin, and billing. We might want to compare these two sets of roles in order to figure out which ones to add, which ones to delete, or which ones are in common, for instance. So to demonstrate this, I've added this nice little Venn diagram down the bottom here. So let's say we want to work out which roles were added. We do new roles dot difference current roles, and that dot difference is something that's been added to set recently. What this does is it takes the role that the user currently
Exactly.
has,
This is also using is
it with this new stuff, and then it returns only the
group
new
theory.
roles that have been added, in this case admin and billing. If we want to do the reverse, we can reverse these, so we can do current roles dot difference new roles. This one simply grabs the viewer here because this is the only one that is not in the new set. So for this operation, we know that we need to add admin and billing to the user and delete the viewer. But what if we want to know which ones are the same? Well, for that, we can use intersection. Intersection returns just the roles that exist in both sets. And if we want to do the reverse, let's say we want to track all the roles that have changed, then we can do a symmetric difference, where we do current roles, symmetric difference, new roles. And you end up with elements that are in either set, but not in both. I'll send you the link to the demo below, and I just thought this was such a beautiful example that I had to show you how it works. If you like my style of teaching, then you should know that Total TypeScript is 50% off for the next couple of days for Black Friday. It's the industry standard.
Good, good. Is the industry standard, blah, 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 yeah.
The course for learning TypeScript, and it's been my life's work for the last 3 years or so. So
all right, that's right, good, good. Get extremely good at React. The whole skill recording empire is running 50% part of this, and yeah, that's what they are doing, selling courses and so on and so forth. Good. Okay, now finally to where we are. Okay, even will sentence actually volume, that's why, that's something. So yeah, Matt Pocock, I don't know how you pronounce that, but in any case, so I already installed that, so I trust the publisher so it doesn't steal my crypto. Despite that, I sell all of that, I don't hold anything. And here we are, Total TypeScript. It is done, already installed, and you got it. If you move to the project here, you can take a look at some sort of GitHub workflow and the source code with all of this. That's quite interesting. So get started here with this. Oh, and it's explaining explain autocomplete and type checking. Check your types are correct across your whole applications and refactor with confidence. Oh, okay. Okay, right now you're not seeing what I'm looking right now. So what about this? No, this is cursor. I want to go with, come on. You collapse. Yeah, you collapse. Okay. Why you collapsed? Hello, all right. But why you collapse? Oh my god. Chill, bro. No, put it here. Exactly. You got it. All right, here we are. And let me use some other ones, which is how do here capture image. Now what I want to capture is I want to add a new one. Video capture or screen in this case. Oh, you don't let me allow to create more? Will you? Okay. Mm. 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 Okay. Hello. Hello, sir. Can you come back here? Application capture. Can you? Okay. What about window? Oh my god. Why are you so slow? I don't quite get it. Okay, now let's take a look at the Visual Studio Code, the VS Code. There you go. Code. Here. Alright. Dig it. We got it. There you go. Alright. So this is part of the course. I already took notes out of this. He say, hey, explain autocomplete and type checking. Check your types are correct across your whole application and refactor with confidence. And some of this demo here, right? And then explain diagrams. Okay. Explain diagrams. Tools needed, explainer. Setup, explaining video. Isn't setting up NPN or PNP essentials. This is something that he doesn't describe that, but I think he will do at some point. Exactly, at some point. So, but in any case, okay, Typescript in the build process. Instead of here, explain PNP, explain why PNP is better than NPN, and explain the VS Code extension. I already have the translation. String numbers and booleans are basically types. I don't think it is working properly. That's quite interesting, right? Oh, there you gotta get the translation. Num is declared but its value is never used. The type string is not assignable to type number, aka you expect a number, but you instead pass a string, which is, what is this? Again, it's just to develop some intuitions about that. And here we are, right? So Typescript in the build process. Let's get into this. So Typescript in the build process. Okay. Let's get into this.
In this exercise, we're going to investigate TypeScript in the browser. We have an example.ts file here, which is just a run function, which has message string and console log message, and we're running hello here. Next to this, we just have an index.html file. This index.html has some basic kind of head stuff in here, nothing too scary here. And we have a script tag where we have source example.ts here. And when we go into the browser here, we're going to see that there's an uncaught syntax error saying unexpected token : Your job is to work out why that's happening, like what seems to be like wrong with this code, and if we can change it in any way to make it work, or just what on earth is happening, why this isn't working. Good luck.
Okay, so it is error, unexpected token error in the browser. So unexpected token error in the browser, right? So we got the unexpected token error in the browser. We got the problem. So we got the problem. If I look at the code here, which is here, the unexpected error here, it's interesting that he start from this, like 5, and then 10, and then 15, and then 16.5, 18. I do think this is a lot of trial and error. Yeah. I do think that this is a lot of trial and error. Yep. A lot of them. A lot of trial and errors here. Okay. So yeah, here we are. There you go. Right. TypeScript in the browsers. So if I open up this, aka, can I run this? Can I run this file here? Okay. If I go to the README of this project, do you have any configuration? No, I don't have it. The README here. Let's go with this, right? Quick start, install the dependencies. You say pnpn install, right? That is blazing fast. Update available 8.2.10. You should use that version, not the 8. Why you're using that? In any case, it's like this console living in isolation, some sort of that. And okay, I do get it. This, so isolation, in this case delete npm or pnpm. There you got it. Remove that. No, but uninstall. It's because I do install that with that pnpm version, and still there, and now it has an older version. That's interesting. And if I check that, it still have that older version. Okay, it's removing the content addressable store. Holy moly. That's a lot. All right. Um. Mm, 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 mm. Mm-hmm. And now I don't have any more of that. Now I do. You are so French toast annoying. It was in a recursive force way. Now if I try to read that, I'm still, oh my god, it's sticky. It's a sticky motherfucker. It's a sticky motherfucker. It's a sticky motherfucker. Okay. Exactly. Brew, which PNP? It is on Homebrew. Okay, we are using Homebrew allegedly. Alright. What was super weird here is when I ran brew remove PNP and act as if it ran and all it was good, but running PNP it was still seeing the version here. So I removed that, remove sync link. Okay, any reference in the system. Okay, and then I brew update. Already up to date, and brew doctor. Okay. Warning, you have the following deprecated official tabs in homebrew service. Brew on tab. Your Xcode is outdated. Yeah, I know. But in any case, if I run npm here version, I don't have that, right? It throw an internal error, which is good. And now I do want to install is pnpm install from brew, right? So homebrew. So homebrew, I do want to install that here. I do think why might be that npm is already installed and up to date. Reinstall pnp. So now if I do this pnpm version, I must have is the version, but I do still have is the 10, bro. Why do you still have access to that? Okay. Claw. pnpm. I need to install the current version of pnpm and install or something, not version 8. Exactly. Exactly. The pnpm version is that. So let the PHP version. So it's going to check what is the source of that. All right. It's okay. It is on private disk here. I see the issue. There is an npm in your no version directory that's being found first in the past. Let me check. Ah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But this is the npm log. It's different because it doesn't specify is the version, log file version here. Exactly. In version 20, I do have this. So where the all is coming from is from library. Found it. There is another PNP installation in library PNP. Let me check and remove it here. Library PNP version. The library PNP version is broken. Let me remove it and use only the H version. So not only that is referencing a broken package manager, it's there. Now let me verify the npm version is this. All right, still showing the old version. Let me check. There's a shell configuration here. Core-Pack is managing PNP version. Let me disable it and use it homebrew versions instead. I installed that. So there is another package manager that is managing is this version manager. Okay. So Core-Pack. But this is on the current package. Okay. Okay, perfect. The issue is on line 4. The package manager field is locking PNP version to this. Core-Pack uses fields to enforce a specific version. No, and so no. So no. No. It is okay. Let's keep it. Exactly, because you are exactly package manager PNP and you're fixing that. Okay, I have completed the setup. Here's what I found. Current situation is PNP is installed homebrew. Remove the old broken library PNP. However, this project package has package manager which tell Core-Pack knows package manager to use PNP specifically for this project. Globally, PNP is available for this specific project. Is using this, and that's it. Okay, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right. What the fuck? Yeah, PNP install. Let's get into this right now. So exit. Okay. Save. And install the dependencies. Please be my guest. Okay. And ask which exercise you would like to run and runs it. So after that, I want to run the exercise, and it tells you which one of them you want to run. Okay, that's interesting. So it is. I do think is how Typescript works. Tiki. But in our case is the Typescript in the browser problem. it says select an exercise file, types to autocomplete, and they say this exercise doesn't need the CLI. You have done anything wrong, your setup is working correctly, but this exercise doesn't require CLI to be run completely. Instead, follow the instruction in the video to complete the exercise. So in any case, by looking at this, you might say, hey, let me throw this example here. We're gonna see now an error here. On cause syntax errors, an unexpected token at line this. In line 1. Okay, so it's a hey, in line 1, it's a hey, unexpected token here. Actually, let me referencing that to say here the Typescript in the browser. Here is the exercise. All right. And this is it. The thing here is it doesn't allow me to go to the Typescript files, right? Yeah, it doesn't allow me to go to the Typescript files. It's not even so it showed me errors. Okay, but the browser right now is not able to tell me is this, right? The browser said, hey, I'm loading some example TS, but I'm not able to do so. So right now here we don't have any warnings here or something like that. That's interesting. All right. Yes. Yes. Okay. So well, the exercise here is actually pretty descriptive, I say, because message here is now a function. You can see here. This is JavaScript, just plain JavaScript. 19 months ago. Oh my god. It's telling here is hey string here. It's a typing function parameter, basic types, function parameter type annotations. This annotation tells the function what type the parameter should be. Okay. And then you have the basic type, which is the primitive in JavaScript, to actually log that. And then he have this error. So what we're doing here is just to defining an identifier called run that is going to hold, it's going to contain this value, this function values, arrow function, whose parameter is message, right? But it's telling us here is a string. Okay, this annotation tells the function what type of a parameter should be, right? And this is quite interesting that it's throwing this specific error here. It's not about spacing, as you can imagine. All right, but it's throwing this error. Why? Maybe because the way how we define this, the way how the primitive are defined is not like this. It is as a string here, right? No, it's the same. Interface string. Please go and use that string. And this annotation tells the function what type of parameter should be, allows manipulation and formatting of text string and determination of location of substring with string, right? Now, if we run that particular code, we'd still have the same error. Oh, not only that we have the same errors, right? What happened here is that we are now sending to the browser is a code that is not JavaScript. So JavaScript doesn't recognize is, so when it parses this code, JavaScript doesn't recognize this. Okay. And in order to fix that, we just only say this. All right. We can actually run that, and now the code will work. All right. But one thing that's interesting is that we are actually passing now a JavaScript or a TypeScript code, but JavaScript is not parsing that, right? So if we change this to, for example, now GS, and then we run that again, it's a file not found because we need to change also is the extension in the doc, and then you get this, right? And it's interesting because now this still doesn't work. Okay, despite that we are now only console log that, right? This doesn't work despite that we are just console log that. That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. All right. But now it is time your turn trying to this. Start by cloning that. I already configured that. Clone the following repo. I already did that. And follow please follow me along here. There you got it. Clone this. The IDE code editor to use is this one. You can choose any other one. The protocol used to launch your preferred IDE on the browser, and full path for Pro Essential workload directory on your computer. Configure local development preference for Typescript Pro Essentials. Okay. Well, I already have that. Right, I already have that. Bring working directory, and then now pb copy. So pb copy of whatever print working directory is outputting. Do I have that? No. There you got it. I love Mac for this. All right. What, are you trying to have access to my terminal here? Your job is to determine what is the issue here. Oh, this is the replay. Okay, exercise. And the solution here.
The reason this wasn't working is that browsers can't understand TypeScript syntax itself.
Is that not only that, is that this particular file is not a valid JavaScript. Why is that? Because when you started to this, it said this is an unexpected token, aka I don't recognize this on my JavaScript dictionary, alphabet, language.
So we have a const run function here with message colon string, and this colon string is actually just not available in JavaScript. Browsers understand JavaScript, not TypeScript. And so, colon string, we can remove this if we want to, and then we end up with something that looks a bit more like JavaScript. But now TypeScript is going to yell at us because parameter message implicitly has an any type. So the way we get around this, basically in the solution, is we turn this TypeScript file into a JavaScript file.
Exactly.
And now, inside JavaScript, this is perfectly valid JavaScript. And if we run hello here, we can see that in our console, it's saying hello to us. Let's zoom in just a little touch here, just so you can see. If I change this to hello world, for instance.
But that's interesting because I already changed that and nothing works. Right? And nothing works. That's why my bending. Because that's what I did. So if I change that to JavaScript here, and then I say this, and then it wants to reload this, it say hey no. And to me it was like, what? Why not? Why not? Right? Why not? This is puzzling. It is quite puzzling, right? it is puzzling that it's not even printing anything here. But if I do this here, right, it's neither printing that console log. That's pretty fucked up. What about if I say, hey, let's do that on here, you know? And if I inspect this, now on Chrome I do get that, but on Browse, okay, in Brave I don't get that. Alright, so again, browser specific S, and there you got it. Okay, example here, there you got it. So now if I throw this here and then I inspect, I should be able to get now that as expected. So far so good. It actually worked as intended. The same for this, right? And there you got it. So we need to test those on that. Okay, not on Brave, but on Chrome. Okay, good.
The reason this wasn't move this if we want to, and then we end up see if I change.
Come on.
The reason this wasn't working file. And now inside JavaScript, this is perfectly valid JavaScript. And if we run hello here, we can .ts file. I've added .js instead. So when we create TypeScript files, we basically need to find a way to transpile them into JavaScript files to turn them into
So the TLD out of this
JavaScript files to basically run them in the browser, because the browser has
from this chapter is that we need to find a way to transpile, aka to transform this language into another language. That is why transpilations mean
JavaScript, not TypeScript.
transpilation. A way to transpile, to convert one code base from one language to another, right? This is the transpilation here. So far so good, right? So we learn is specific words relevant here.
TypeScript gives us a way.
Okay.
way that we can automatically turn our TypeScript files into JavaScript files. We're writing code here in the TypeScript language, but what we need is the TypeScript CLI in order to basically turn this into a JavaScript file. So what we want to do in order to complete this exercise, I would like you to go into this folder inside here, into 011, and then we need to basically initiate a TypeScript project inside here. We're going to need to install the TypeScript CLI globally. Then we're going to need to essentially say, right, let's initiate a TypeScript config inside here. Then we're going to use that TypeScript config and the TypeScript CLI to turn this TypeScript file into a JavaScript file. There are a few steps to set up here, so if you just want to watch me do it, then feel free to go ahead to the solution. But I've also given you a little list of things you can do inside this README here. Set up a tsconfig.json, run the TypeScript compiler, change the index.html file to use the JavaScript file that then gets created. Good luck.
Which is here. Convert a TypeScript file into a JavaScript. So convert a TypeScript file into a JavaScript. Right. Into a JavaScript file. Is this. So let's use the compiler to take the JavaScript, the TypeScript files and generate a JavaScript file. So the browser or any other JavaScript environment can understand. So the browsers can run it. Yeah, pretty much that. Okay, so that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye bye.